Good afternoon. I'm Brandy Gans, Chief Administrative Officer for the county, and I would like to thank you for joining us today for this special ceremony. It is always wonderful when you can acknowledge and applaud the good work of someone in our community. With that, I would like to invite up our county executive, Dr. Calvin Ball.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. It's an exciting day, as Brandy noted. Anytime, especially as we go through some of the most challenging times in our county, our state, our nation, our world history, when we can come together and celebrate the progress that we've made and also the people who have helped us progress. I am glad to be here with some of the team today to acknowledge Dan. When we look at the investment to ensure that we got through some of our most challenging times, it was our volunteers, those who selflessly donated their time, their talent, their compassion, their insight to ensure that each and every one of us is seen, is heard, and can become our very best selves. I want to also thank, of course, Brandy, the entire team at OEM, but especially each and every volunteer. You and your investment in our future are exemplified today through having Dan win this fantastic, well-deserved honor. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Hinson, the Director of the Office of Emergency Management for Howard County. Today, I want to paint a picture for you of Dan Wild's volunteerism and commitment to support Howard County. But let me start by telling you about one of the organizations he volunteers through, the Howard County Community Organizations Active in Disaster, or COAD. The COAD brings together nonprofits, faith-based organizations, local businesses, and community groups in order to provide resources and assistance to those in need during times of disaster. They were critical in supporting vaccination clinics, food drives, and the distribution of personal protective equipment during the pandemic. Dan is a member of this group through the Columbia Amateur Radio Association, or CARA. Part of CARA's mission is to foster interest in the welfare of amateur radio as well as its services to the community. CARA often participates in local events by providing radio support. Dan has been a constant presence at CARA activities and public service events, as well as supporting COVID-19 vaccination sites. Dan is also the lead or reporting officer for the Howard County Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service, or RACES, which provides emergency and auxiliary communication support to the Office of Emergency Management. He also participates in ARES, or the Amateur Radio Emergency Service, which is a similar organization that provides these services to non-governmental organizations. He has spent countless hours developing training aids and guides to help ARES and RACES and CARA members learn about amateur radio capabilities and procedures. In 2022 alone, he committed an estimated 30 to 40 hours on drills, training activities, and supporting for OEM, as well as an additional 90 hours supporting public service events with radio communications. Dan has also helped form proposals for the installation of amateur radio antennas at county fire stations to further develop the infrastructure for radio communication in the event of a disaster. His efforts have greatly improved the capabilities of amateur radio community for years to come. On top of all this, Dan is also a physicist at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, as well as the APL Colloquium Chair and member of the Research and Exploratory Development Department. Preparing for disasters can often be difficult since people do not want to think about dark and stressful times. Fortunately, Dan not only takes time to prepare, but he also motivates others to do the same. He has taken what could have been just a hobby and figured out how to utilize it for the betterment of his community. He brings an energy and sense of purpose to any amateur radio event, as well as the support he provides through co-ed. He is always willing to help others learn and sacrifice his time to make sure radio communications are ready to serve when called upon. We're lucky to have him in Howard County, and we're honored to name Dan Wilt 2022's OEM Volunteer of the Year. If you come up, Dan.
One over, everybody.
First, I want to thank County Executive Ball and Director Hinson for their support of the award and for selecting me as the 2022 recipient. I was surprised and very deeply honored. I also thank them for creating an environment that welcomes and supports its volunteers. I also want to thank the Department of Fire and Rescue Services and the County Radio Shop, who together with OEM have provided great support to the Aries Races team. Their enthusiasm, their friendliness, and their can-do attitude make working with them a real pleasure. Finally, I need to thank the fellow leaders of the Aries Races team, particularly Andy Prodigal, Nancy McAllister, who couldn't be here today, John Wilson, who couldn't be here today, and the members of the Aries Races who volunteer their personal time to be prepared and assist in time of need. Thanks for your attention, and I'll return the mic to Brandy.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dan, and thank you for all of the volunteering that you have done to make Howard County great. We do greatly appreciate it. And this concludes our press conference. Thank you for everyone who has joined us here today and also online.